Kansas State people are unique. The university is unique. And every university in the country will say their university is unique. And that may very well be true, but I know Kansas State University is. And I know the people of Kansas State are truly special.
What a perfect way to welcome everyone into our K-State Bowl special holiday in Houston. I'm Chris D'Elia, joined alongside Jonathan Deutsch. On Wednesday, the K-State Wildcats take on the Texas A&M Aggies in the Texas Bowl at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. Jonathan.
And to get you ready, we thought we'd take you through K-State's 8-4 season. And Chris, when I say K-State, who do you immediately think of?
Bill Snyder.
That's exactly right. Coming up a little later, Chris sat down with the Hall of Fame coach to discuss his mindset heading into bowl season.
And as the Wildcats look to complete the Texas sweep, don't overlook the K-State defense. We'll be right back after a quick break.
We can't live up to those stereotypes that the Big 12 doesn't have too many good defenses. We want to show that we do have good defenses in the Big 12.
We were picked 8th in the conference, so I mean anything that we can accomplish is obviously was not expected from us.
Welcome back to our K-State Bowl special, Holiday in Houston.
Yes, we just heard from Holton's very own Trent Tanking. The K-State Wildcats were picked to finish towards the bottom of the Big 12 this season, but as underdogs, K-State finished the regular season in 4th place in the league.
And as Chris said, they finished 4th in the conference, but the Wildcats were just a few plays away from possibly taking 2nd in the Big 12. K-State exceeded a lot of expectations this season, but internally the team knew they had a special team. Here's a recap of how the Wildcats battled their way to the Texas Bowl. The season opened on a Friday night in September out in Palo Alto. The Wildcats held preseason Heisman hopeful Christian McCaffrey to his 4th lowest rushing total of the season, just 126 yards. McCaffrey still made an impact, rushing for 2 touchdowns, a 35-yard run in the second quarter, and a 41-yarder in the 4th.
But he carried the ball 22 times. And we missed 2 tackles on him at the line of scrimmage to give him a long gain. We give him another long gain by overrunning, the tackle. At the other 20 snaps, he gets 2.5 yards per carry.
2 weeks later, the Wildcats earned their first win of the season, beating Florida Atlantic 63-7. The defense forced 4 turnovers. The offense had 3 one-play drives in the game, but a dozen penalties for 105 penalty yards left Bill Snyder wanting more.
We totally lacked discipline to play this game. I mean, that's why I'm angry right now. And it's nothing more than discipline.
Against Missouri State, an FCS school, the game was over at halftime. No, really, the game was called at half due to lightning in the area. The Wildcats won 35-0, and the defense held Missouri State to just 54 yards of offense.
I get it. I think all the players wanted to play on their side as well as on ours, but so be it.
In the second road game of the year, the Wildcats had a golden opportunity to push the lead to 17 over the Mountaineers in Morgantown. Byron Pringle looked as if he was going to score, but he dropped the pass. After the Mountaineers rallied in the 4th quarter to take the lead, K-State had a chance at the game-winning field goal with 2 minutes remaining, but the 43-yard kick sailed wide left. Pringle and the Wildcats would bounce back the following week. K-State hosted Texas Tech in a 44-38 shootout at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. Defense and special teams played a huge role in this one as DJ Reed had a pick 6 and Byron Pringle returned a kickoff 99 yards for a touchdown. His reward, a punch to the gut from Dominique Heath. Down in Norman, the Wildcats fell behind early after 2 first-quarter touchdowns by the Sooners. Quarterback Baker Mayfield threw for 4 touchdowns. D.D. Westbrook had 184 receiving yards, and the Wildcat defense surrendered more than 500 yards in the 38-17 loss. Back in Manhattan on October 22nd, Charlie Strong and the Texas Longhorns were overwhelmed in the first half as Jesse Ertz rushed for 2 touchdowns and the Cats held the ball for more than 23 minutes. The Longhorns fought back and made it a 3-point game, but the Wildcats recovered the onside kick to get back above 500. The Cats went on the road to Iowa State, and once again an early lead disappeared as the Wildcats were forced to recover another onside kick to seal the deal. K-State gained just 9 yards in the 4th quarter, but left Ames with a 5-point win. On November 5th, the Wildcats did something we never see. They wore new uniforms. Oklahoma State beat Kansas State 43-37. Chris Carson scored a touchdown with 1:42 left, leaving the Wildcats plenty of time to put together a game-winning drive. Needing a touchdown, Jesse Ertz's Hail Mary pass to the end zone was intercepted as time expired. The Cats were in Waco taking on the Baylor Bears just before Thanksgiving. Bill Snyder and K-State fans were thankful for Alex Barnes this week as he rushed for 4 touchdowns in the 42-21 win. Barnes became the first freshman in K-State history to rush for 100 yards in back-to-back games. The Cats stopped the Bears and became bowl eligible for the 7th straight season. The annual Sunflower Showdown was more than just a win against an in-state rival. The 34-19 win was Bill Snyder's 200th career victory, making him just the 26th coach to reach that milestone. As you can imagine, Snyder had other things on his mind besides his personal accomplishment.
I mean, 200's a number, and it's what, maybe what that stands for, and it stands for a lot of wonderful young people that have come through this program.
In the final game of the regular season, the Wildcats led TCU 10-6 at halftime. Something changed in the locker room because in the second half, the Cats scored 3 touchdowns while shutting out the Frogs to win 30-6. Byron Pringle had an 83-yard touchdown catch, the longest play from scrimmage for the Cats this season.
So for those playing along at home, K-State beat Texas Tech, Texas, Baylor, and TCU, a win against Texas A&M in Houston, and they might have to change the motto of Texas from the Lone Star State to EMAW.
I can't believe you did that whole thing in one breath. Wow. And as a part of this special, we wanted to also take you behind the scenes of the Wildcats, which of course means hearing from K-State football coach Bill Snyder. And with such a young core of players like quarterback Jesse Ertz, Alex Barnes, Reggie Walker, and DJ Reed coming back next season, it has Snyder cautiously optimistic for 2017.
It will have an impact on the view forward, so to speak, into next year. But we have an awful lot of young guys, and obviously it's so easy to say, well, you've got a lot of young guys that'll be back, so you're going to be this much better, etc. And we've never approached it that way. Every year is a different year. The dynamics of your team, even though you have a lot of returning young people, the dynamics are still different year in and year out. And we just still have to go back and take it a step at a time. And you got to start from. You just can't start and say, okay, we've already achieved this level and we're going to go from here. You have to go back and start from the rudiments of the program and the rudiments of what we do, both on and off the field, and continue to build on it. And if everything went the way most people would view it, with experienced players back, you would think that. That step would come very rapidly, but like I say, the dynamics are different year in and year out.
The future looks bright for the bowl game and next season. We'll hear more from the legendary Coach Snyder towards the end of the special,
as well as my conversation with K-State Athletic Director John Curry, who discussed this season and the impact of Coach Snyder on the football program and K-State as a whole.
Yeah, Jonathan, and we also went around the area to find out what Coach Snyder and K-State means to our local high schools.
If you want to be successful, you follow and repeat successful people.
He molds the student athletes on the field and off the field. He's not one of those coaches that just cares about what you do on the field. He also cares about your well-being off the field as well.
Welcome back to our K-State Bowl special. There's no denying that Bill Snyder is a special kind of coach. You know about the rebuild, and you've heard about how much his players love and respect him.
But one of the highest forms of praise is that of your peers. And while he's made a strong impression on the young men and women of Kansas State, it's possible his legacy will be carried on by the coaches around the area who feel their connection to the legend.
If you want to be successful, you follow and repeat successful people.
I can ramble on and on and on about the impact that Coach Snyder has had.
He is the brains behind it. He is the sweat behind it. Everything that's been done has been organized by him.
Bill Snyder, one of the best football coaches ever in the state of Kansas, might also be one of the greatest resources to high school coaches.
We want to go watch practice. They're always very accommodating, and if we have ideas or questions about schemes, the coaches are always readily available to us.
He's one of the head coaches that you can have a great relationship. If I call and need something, he's going to be there to do it.
Coach Snyder will always come up to you and call you by your first name, and that really left an impression on me. not by your last name, not by your school. He came up and called you by your first name.
And his program thrives because of his core values, which have made their way to large and small schools around the area.
It's not complicated. You work hard, you do things right, good things are going to happen to you.
Those values that he tries to instill, those are great values that are very simple. They're very easy to teach, and so we try and take those values that he preaches and we try to instill it in our program.
Coach Snyder is just consistent. I mean, it's the same thing every day. It's hard work every day. It's physical every day. Probably the dirty little secret is it's tough every day.
And we don't have 16 goals for success, but we do have 5 goals for success, 5 pillars of our program.
Well, I've been around the program enough to learn, his goals for success. I think those are extremely important, and as coaches we always steal stuff, but you can't really just take that off the wall at K-State and stick it on your wall. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but inside you talk about those things with your kids and your coaches.
His longevity can be attributed to a number of things.
I think it's a credit to just the type of person that he is. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be challenges, and Coach just comes to work every day. He brings that old school mentality that he's not going to cry about things. He's just going to get to work and make things better.
I think his biggest asset is the way he treats people. I think he treats people phenomenally. I think you can find a respect for him right away, and I think people want to play hard for him. They want to be around him. They love him because he treats everybody with such a great deal of respect.
As coaches model their style after his, one thing will be difficult to match.
Can you imagine coaching at 75 years old?
Absolutely not.
There's no way in my mind do I believe that I could do that.
I hope I could, but at that level, no way. That's amazing in itself.
Doing his job that long, he loves it an awful lot, and as long as his health is good, I think he'll be there till who knows how long.
So when you talk about 70, it's a chance to compete. I guess if there's a love for golf, if there's a love to compete some other way, you'll find that outlet. But if not, then you're going to be like Coach Snyder and you're going to find a football field.
So maybe they don't coach until their mid-70s, but most coaches have a special relationship with the man in the windbreaker.
And just being who Coach Snyder is, he's a very demanding individual, and that's what you want around your kids. And as a parent, you want high expectations. You want people around your kids that have high expectations of them, because they're going to come close to meeting those expectations.
You can sit there and say, well, he's had maybe 1,000, 5,000 kids since my brother played, but he's got that memory that's so sharp that he can remember specific instances, not just with my brother, but dealing with my family.
I was there the first day he was there, and very fortunate to have a son that'll be there probably the last days there. So it's been a 30-year relationship for me.
He's definitely made a lasting impression on those high school coaches around the state, Jonathan.
Another person he's had an impact on is athletic director John Curry. Hear from him and more from Chris's sit down with the Hall of Fame coach right after this.
Bill Snyder coming back and winning a Big 12 championship 10 years after he won his first Big 12 championship. That's changed the national narrative. This is a program that can compete at the highest level of intercollegiate athletics. That's our goal, and that's our expectation, and candidly, that's what we've done.
Welcome back to our K-State Bowl special. Now it's time to go behind the scenes of K-State football.
John Curry became K-State's athletic director in 2009 after Bill Snyder had already rejoined the K-State Wildcats. I sat down with Curry to discuss the impact Snyder has had on the field as well as off of it. What are your overall thoughts on the year?
Well, I'm grateful to our coaching staff and our student athletes for putting together what was really a remarkable season. You think about our team, picked pretty low, poorly to finish in our league, and coming off a year we finished 8th and improving all the way to 4th is very significant. The real testament of a team toughness and team coaching is really starts, you evaluate that about November 1st, when you got all these teams that are kind of bunched together at 3-3 or 4-3 or 3-4 or whatever, and then you see how teams finish, and that's where we excel, and winning 5 out of our last 6 games, our team continuing to get better, as Coach Snyder likes to say.
What were you feeling when you won the Sunflower Showdown, but it's also Coach Snyder's 200th win?
Boy, that was a very, very special day, and we had prepared to win with some plans to recognize him after the game and include Sharon and their children and their entire family. it was a real honor to be there. I've been here from win 137 was my first of Coach Snyder's win a long time ago, and seen some pretty incredible moments. If you think about the fact that Coach Snyder's had 201 victories in 25 seasons, that averages out to 8 wins a season. It's hard to win football games, and so to average 8 wins a year over his career by Coach Snyder is pretty incredible.
In what ways did his success before you arrived help your ability to grow the athletic department?
Keep in mind that the median class year for K-State alums is 1991. So half the graduates of Kansas State University have graduated since 1991. So think about the frame of perspective of that cohort of our alumni, which is one that expects to win, right? And that's one of Coach Snyder's, that's one of those goals, right? Expect to win. And so that's elevated, I believe, the aspiration of the university, both academically and athletically. This is a program that can compete at the highest level of intercollegiate athletics. That's our goal, and that's our expectation. And candidly, that's what we've done.
What kind of pressure do you feel when it comes to naming his successor when that time comes?
Well, you assume that time is coming. I'm fully hoping that Coach Snyder will coach for another 10 years, and certainly there's no evidence that he is slowing down in the least. I don't feel any pressure in that regard. I feel a great sense of urgency to always be ready for whenever he does decide that he wants to retire, and that'll be his decision whenever that time comes.
How has Bill Snyder made you better at your job? What has he taught you?
Well, I've learned so much from Bill Snyder. I feel like I've had a front row seat to one of the greatest coaches in the history of sports, not just football. He is so consistent in what his message is, and he doesn't get ruffled by stuff that doesn't matter, and he focuses on what matters the most.
How much does it irk you that you haven't got a national title yet?
We are still one of 3 Power 5 programs never to win a team national championship. Virginia Tech, Mississippi State, and Kansas State are the only Power 5 programs never to win a team national championship. That's the next hurdle for us to get over, and I've got a running friendly agreement, not a bet because I don't bet in NCAA sports, but with those athletics directors at Mississippi State, Virginia Tech, that whoever wins that first national championship is going to take the other 2 to dinner, and I expect to buy that dinner.
That's what we called a gentleman's agreement. Some great insight into K-State athletics and the Wildcat football team. And with K-State's win over Kansas in the Sunflower Showdown, Bill Snyder became the 26th FBS coach all-time to reach that 200-win mark. I sat down with him to see what it meant to reach that milestone and his thoughts about this season and bowl games.
Well, I think that, that really is the significance for me, and for my own gratification, and 200's a number. If you hang around long enough, you're bound to get some of those numbers. And I've been around a long time, so it's just something that happened. But what it really did for me is, I say for me, what it allowed me to do is to recognize the people that really have such an impact on our program, our community, etc.
25 coaches have ever reached that mark, and to think about where this program was when you started, how does that make you feel now? Sometimes,
because we've been here for so long that, there's a lot of people, young people that are in our program have no idea. They weren't alive when we started in 1989. And you go back, and Kansas State was the losingest program in the history of college football. It was the only program in the history of college football to have 500 losses. There wasn't a player in the program that had ever participated in a game in which they had won, and it goes on and on and on. And it wasn't our need. We had 47 young people on scholarship. That's when you could have 95. We were less than 50% scholarship, the lowest scholarship count in the history of college football again. It's just on and on and on.
Do you have a special bowl memory that you kind of hold dear, that when you think of bowl games, you're like, oh man, that was really fun, getting to experience that?
Well, I think the first one that we had here at Kansas State was a fond memory. We won the ball game, and it was the first. Well, Kansas State at the time was 106 years old or something like that, It was only the second bowl game they'd ever been to, and it was the first one they ever won.
And so when people come to a K-State game, they take Coach Bill Snyder Highway, and they get to the parking lot, and they see your statue there, and then when they sit down at the game, it's at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. And so and you're a Hall of Fame coach, and with everything you've accomplished, is there anything else that you have your sights on that you would like to accomplish?
Not really. I mean, because it's ongoing, you know, whatever, you know, we're able to develop within the young people that we have now, then, you know, you want to do the same thing with more and more and more and more. And, you know, that's the, you know, the numbers of statues and all that. I mean, it's nice and I appreciate it a great deal. But those, you know, it's like the name on the, you know, on the stadium. You know, that isn't my stadium. That's the family. And that's the way you know, when they asked me about doing it, I said, no, I don't want you to name a stadium after me. And they called back and I said, okay, if you add family to it. And because, you know, once again, you know, my personal family, which is large, has invested so much and put so much into it. But, you know, the players and their families and the university and the students and the community and the state, and I go on and on, you know, that's part of the family too.
It's obvious he knows how important his K-State family is, and after speaking with John Currie and Bill Snyder, you know they're expecting a large number of fans in Houston.
Yes, Currie said they get around 40 or 50,000 fans at these bowl games. So thanks for joining us tonight. K-State and Texas A&M play in the Advocare V100 Texas Bowl on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And Jonathan, I will be down there in Houston. You can follow our coverage online at WIBW.com and on Wednesday and throughout the week.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Have a wonderful night.